It's the secret formula supposedly used by A-listers to help them easily lose weight without experiencing the negative side effects of weight loss jabs.
But what is microdosing, and could it be too good to be true? We're joined now by beauty editor Olivia Falcon alongside Dr. Hussain to tell us more. Good morning to both of you. Good morning. Dr. Hussain, let's start with you, first of all. What is microdosing? Just a tiny bit of something, essentially?
Yeah, so microdosing specifically in this instance, the weight loss injections, is using doses or dose intervals that are lower than what is licensed or what the manufacturer advises. So, for example, with tirzepatide, Mounjaro, the trade name, 2.5 milligrams is the lowest dose that you can be on. But in certain instances, some people are using it, for example, every 2 weeks rather than every week.
OK.
So the same dose, but then spreading out the injections?
Yeah.
So that counts as microdosing?
Yes, because the actual way that these are administered is through a pen, which automatically releases a single dose.
Right, okay.
So you can't really effectively halve it.
Right.
In certain other instances and other medications, then sometimes we will, when it's, for example, a liquid or a tablet, and that can be done, or an injection where you can modify. But in this instance, it's being done by extending the intervals.
OK. So we're going to talk to Olivia in just a moment, who's been starting the microdosing herself. But from a medical professional's perspective, does microdosing work in your experience?
So if we look at this specific indication, where we're using Mounjaro tirzepatide, its half-life is about 5 to 6.5 days. So that's why it's given once a week. When you give it more and you have extended intervals beyond a week, then the drug would have pretty much gone out of your system. So you're going to be having varying levels of effects of the actual drug itself. So it isn't something that I personally would use with my patients.
Sure.
But it is something that some private clinicians are using as a kind of interim point between being on 2.5 milligrams, the lowest dose, and not being on it at all.
OK. Olivia, let's come to you. You look absolutely amazing. You look fantastic. When did you first start using the weight loss drugs?
So I started using the drugs in May of 2023.
Oh.
Maybe actually, no, April. I was feeling really, really unwell. I was going through the perimenopause. Yeah. I was coming up to sort of heading into my 50s. And I was I felt for myself, I felt quite overweight. I was the same weight I was when I was full-term pregnant with my first child. I had really bad lower back pain. I went to see a doctor and I did some blood tests, and they said to me that I was pre-diabetic and my cholesterol level was 6.6, which I think is fairly high. Right. So I had a friend who had been taking an injection called Ozempic, and I went to go and see her doctor, a private doctor in London, who suggested I start trying some of the injections.
Olivia, before you tried or spoke to that doctor and tried the injections, did you address any lifestyle changes that you thought might have helped as well?
So I started off with a functional medicine doctor. So they were the ones that ran all the tests for me, and they put me on a lot of supplements. I always exercise. I go to the gym 3 times a week, but I am guilty, I think a lot of people are, of maybe snacking. I kind of sometimes would get involved in my kids' dinner before my dinner. I had a glass of wine, you know. Throughout the pandemic as well, I put on some weight, you know, overeating maybe. So I did for about 3 or 4 months before I went down this route. I really sort of tried to be mindful, but, you know, I have a very busy lifestyle and it was quite unsustainable. And what I found with these injections is it has made, you know, keeping a healthy weight for myself much more easy and attainable.
But when you first started taking the full dose, the regular dose, did you start to get side effects? Is that why you leaned more into the microdosing?
So when I first started, I started on the lowest dose, and I just did this lowest dose for about 4 months. I sort of went very slowly and then upped the dose. I think the way you're meant to take them is they usually prescribe you do the lowest dose, and after a month you double your dose. But I sort of did the lowest dose for about 3 or 4 months. I did go up to a 1 milligram dose of Ozempic, and I did actually feel quite ill when I did that. I felt very, very tired. So I decided to go down.
When did you start noticing the difference it was having physically? We're looking at some before and afters there, which are
oh my gosh.
I mean, you know, it's very apparent. You can see the difference in you.
Yes. So I think when I sort of went the lowest dose for 3 or 4 months, I didn't initially notice much difference. When I went up a dose, that's when I noticed the weight come off. My lower back pain, which was really bothering me, went. My cholesterol reduced from 6.6 down to a 5.6. And I do regular blood tests with a doctor, and they said, you're no longer in the pre-diabetic zone. So it really has been quite remarkable for me.
And how do you administer the microdose? How do you do it?
Right. Well, I bought, just to show everyone, this is the pen. And it's usually, if you were doing this, it would be a weekly injection. It's like an EpiPen. But I'm doing this once every 2 weeks. And what you do to get the dose is you click the pen. Some people, I believe, don't click to the full dose. They do half the dose. But I'm just doing this every 2 weeks rather than every week.
Okay.
And I'm guessing that one of the real benefits to this is the fact it doesn't cost you as much money, but you're still achieving results.
Exactly. Well, this is expensive, but for me, it's been money incredibly well spent.
How much is one of those pens?
It's about £180 a month, so it's not cheap. But I, you know, it really has been. I would pay more than that because it has really transformed my health. And I feel a lot better for it.
Olivia, what do you say to people who will be looking at this and going, for heaven's sake, you look amazing, you look fantastic. You're never in the benchmark to get these drugs on the NHS for free. We can talk about that in just a moment. And it was never intended for people of your size. You just needed to be a bit more disciplined. You just needed to be sort of a bit more on it.
I mean, for me, I was feeling really unwell, and I was heading towards being diabetic. So I definitely didn't want to go down that road. I think there are so many women going through the menopause that really are struggling. We all work, working mums. You just have such a busy lifestyle, and this has been such a helpful tool to really sort of not only reclaim my health, but I just feel so much better in myself as well. And yes, I wasn't ever obese, but I was clearly having some really bad physical symptoms.
And it affects your confidence, obviously,
100%,
as well.
yeah.
Dr. Hussain, there's going to be ladies that are sitting, watching at home, that are hearing your story and it's ringing bells with them. What would be your advice about microdosing, and should people do it?
So, it's really complex. Obesity as a condition, we know is so complex. There's big genetic components, there's strong environmental elements. And what I would be very careful about is that we think of the long-term plan. Most people do not want to be on this injection, whether they're microdosing or dosing in the normal intervals, for long periods of time. And what this shows is it has temporary effects. While you're taking it, it will suppress the appetite. It works on that hormone that does that. But we need to think about what internal levers can we pull rather than just the external levers, because once those external levers are gone, we need to consider what are we doing within the lifestyles. Now, it's really challenging. Look, and I'm speaking from a person that actually was, 4 stone heavier and really struggled with weight myself. I was diagnosed with liver disease and told that if I didn't lose the weight, it would have gone into cirrhosis. And my family all struggled with weight. Now, that was 10 years ago. There wasn't options for the injections then. Was it challenging? Yes, it was massively challenging. Did I lose weight over 6, 12 months? No. It took, probably 4 or 5 years to lose that weight. But it's about the lessons that are learned and the levers that you then develop internally to be able to pull that. And there's challenges. Menopause is a challenge. Busy lives is a challenge. And we need to work as a society to build an environment where we aren't all gaining weight. Because we are. As a population, we're all gaining weight. And these are great tools. They're great tools, but they do not fix the underlying problem.
Olivia, at some point you're going to stop, I assume, or you're going to... Okay.
Yes.
And how are you feeling about those levers? Do you feel you've pulled the right levers so when you do stop, you'll be able to maintain...
I mean, for me, this is stopped like the snacking and the second helpings. So it goes to show you that you don't need as much food as you think. And it kind of quietens the head in your voice, the food chatter. That I think, we have a reward system. We think, at 4 o'clock we'll have a bar of chocolate or whatever, a biscuit. So I am being quite mindful I'm doing this to try and make sure that when I come off it, I'm not going back to what I was doing. It's a really good tool to sort of highlight that.
Yes.
It's really important to work on those tools internally, because you're so right. It can be so difficult to quieten down those voices.
Yes.
But think about even before you start taking the injection, what is the long-term plan to start building it right from the beginning?
If it's a catalyst for change, it might be a
Has
very
to be a good thing, doesn't it? Olivia, thank you.
Thank you.
For coming in. Dr. Hussain, good to see you.
Thank you for visiting visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.